Amtgard, there's nothing more powerful than a small unit working together for a shared goal. And in this video today, I, Squire Callahan Ridgeborn, almost a Battlemaster, always a wizard, am here to tell you about how you can team up with my personal favorite class, again, wizard, regardless of what you're doing. So if you saw our combat triangle video, you'll know that I sort fighters into 3 archetypes: magic, missiles, and melee, depending on what they're doing to interact with their opponents. And so we're going to run through each of those types of fighters and give some specific examples on how you can, as a wizard, team up with those fighters and how you can support them and they can support you. So let's dive into it. So if we're teaming up with a melee fighter, someone that is an armored fighter, there are a couple of ways that the martials can support wizards, right? The biggest thing that any martial class can do is stand between a wizard and all the people that want to kill the wizard. Wizards normally will find that position themselves. They will stand behind the martial classes and cast over the top of them to interfere with enemy casters or enemy martials. So just being there in between, blocking access, physical access to your wizard is going to be really helpful. Think of it as like a sports ball analogy, right? In football, you have the linemen that are there to prevent access from the quarterback and the running back, right? And so your melee fighters are sort of like that line. They hold together, they like to be in those lines and prevent access to the back of the field. Sometimes your martials are able to enable some combos. So there are different things that each caster can do. Looking at like Scout and Assassin, they both get hold person. And if you stop someone, wizards can punish people for being in states. So anytime you put someone into a state, if there's a wizard nearby, let them know they might be able to do something about it. Same goes for if it's the enemy team. If your enemy warrior is in their True Grit, or if there is somebody in Phoenix tiers, let your wizard know, because they can dispel them or they can shatter them, or whatever state that they're in, they can punish them for being in that state. Now that we know how martials can support wizards, how can wizards support martials? Well, there's so many great things wizards can do for martial classes. Mends. I would argue that there's nobody better at doing mend than a wizard. At a 6th level spell, you get Word of Mending. I slap you on the back, I say Spadoinkle, everything you own that you're physically carrying at the time, fixed, full health, all of it's great, right? Greater Mend. It's a once per refresh spell, but sometimes we take it rechargeable. Greater Mend will bring all of your armor in one hit location back all at once. Normal Mend, we get it per life, and it should be available. We can fix your sword or your shield or your polearm, whatever you need to get it back. At the same time, Release is also something wizards get per life. If you are getting hit with spell balls and being put into states, we can get you out of those states, right? Same thing if your polearm gets heat weaponed, we can release that. Sometimes you are somewhere and you'd really rather be somewhere else. Wizards can teleport you across the field, and if you've prearranged with them that you're going to do that, you can get into some real fun shenanigans by having them teleport you to different locations. Wizards are also really great at breaking symmetry. So when you have a line, if it is a 5v5 line and a wizard runs up and shoves a person off the line, now it's 5v4 in your favor. So you are going to have an easier time taking out rival melee fighters and armored fighters, even someone with more armor than you, because the wizard's job is to break that symmetry and show up and help you be more victorious. Wizards also can provide flanking protection. Wizards, our job is to have our head on a swivel. We're one of the few classes that get multiple answers to insubstantial. Wizard is really good at punishing people for being in states. So if we have those flankers coming up, if a wizard is doing their job correctly, they're going to have a banish or a dimensional rift or a planar grounding or some way of taking that insubstantial person and either saying go home or go respawn. And so they're going to help protect you, protect the line from that problem. And even if they do nothing other than spot the flanker and call them out, now you're aware of them. And then there's combos that the wizards are going to do. If someone is in a state, we can punish them for being in the state. and that can help eliminate obstacles to your melee fighting. So, caster synergies. If you are a fellow caster, there are a lot of different ways you can do that. So if you're a wizard and you have another wizard on your team, there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do, actually. You can do combos together. If you guys are both standing there, and you've got, say you're running the Icy Blast Shatter build, both of you are, well, one of you can Icy Blast and the other can Shatter. You can start those two spells at the same time. As long as Icy Blast finishes before Shatter, when the Shatter does the check to see if the player's frozen, you've got him. So you can simulcast at the same player, and they're not going to know what hit them. You're probably going to have to tell them, honestly. You can enchant each other. Void Touched is an amazingly powerful enchantment, getting Steel Life Essence unlimited. If you've got two Generalist Wizards working together, giving each other Void Touched and doing combos together, that is a force to be reckoned with, because just there's so much sustainability and combo power available there. Finally, Protection from Magic. It is a fantastic spell. Like, oh yeah, just all your verbals aren't going to work, all your spell balls aren't going to work. I am protected from magic. Crisp. Great combo for wizards teaming up with other wizards. More general caster supporting wizards. If you're a druid, there are a bunch of enchantments that wizards love to get. Anything that gives us armor, Lycan, Stone Skin, Bark Skin. Getting that magic armor increases the durability of wizards. Wizards are a squishy class by themselves. Giving us anything that increases survivability is huge. My personal favorite enchantment to receive is Gift of Air. I don't get a ton of mileage out of my swords because I tend to do a lot of verbals, and so usually if I'm using a sword, it's to block, and Gift of Air does the blocking for me passively, so that's a lot of fun. At the same time, if you get any magic armor, you can mend it as a wizard, so wizards are a great enchantment target for druids. Healers have other enchantments that we like. We really like to have projectiles. Personally, I get targeted with arrows a lot. I'm a big guy, so I'm fairly easy to hit with arrows, so having projectiles, even Blessing Against Wounds to just prevent one of those arrows from killing me, is a really valuable thing to have on, I would argue, any wizard. And then again, healers also have those verbals. Countercasting is a big thing. Wizards attacking other wizards, so if you are in a position where you can release, heal, and resurrect wizards, that is a big boost for us. And then finally, caster supporting wizards, bards. Bards are everyone's best friend on the battlefield. Song of Power, just making things recharge faster, huge. Just last March event, I was running my Battle Mage build, and there was a bard who was coming up to the field, and I ran up to the bard, I'm like, do you have Song of Power? Can I borrow that? And he ran Song of Power, and I was able to go from, I needed to recharge 3 shoves and a greater mend, which would have been 3 times 3 is 9, plus a 10 is 19. But because he was there, I was able to go from 3 times 3 being 9 to 3 times 1 being 3, and then 5, so it became a times 8 instead of a 19, which was a significant time savings. And I was able to get back up front and continue doing my shenaniganery much faster. Confidence, getting back an ability is pretty good. Empower and Restoration are even better. These are really handy abilities. Restro is, without a doubt, every time a bard walks up to you and says, like, hey, I'm going to give you that Restro, you're like, oh, yes, thank you. I've got my Swifts, my Steel Lives, I got my mends and releases. All of these things are incredibly valuable resources to have, and being able to get those back quickly is just a huge boost. There's a ton of things that we can do to help out the other casters. Mends and releases are a huge boon to the other casters if they've run out of them for themselves. All the other casters have access to varying sizes of shields. They also can get put into states, and as we know, wizards love states, so I can take those states away, because if your healer gets iceballed, you need your healer back, right? Void Touch is a great enchantment to give any of the other casters because it gives them a couple of immunities, gives them unlimited Steel Life Essence. That can just be huge value. And finally, Protection from Magic is always a good enchantment to put down just about anybody that you don't want getting shoved around or suppressed or anything like that. So archer synergy, there's some cool stuff you can do with archers as a wizard. If you're an archer supporting a wizard, there's a couple of things you can really be doing. Sniping rival casters is a huge boost. At March event, it felt like every 4 seconds I was hearing, I command thee suppressed. And if archers are taking out those rival casters so that we can focus on enemy melee fighters and getting them off of our line so our line can press forward, that can be a big buff. Watching and shooting rushes. If I'm playing wizard and I'm in the midline and somebody is like flanking real hard from the side and I don't see them, if you hit them with that pinning arrow, you hit them with a regular arrow, that can be a really valuable moment of, oh, hey, there's a person over there. I'm now aware of them and I can either deal with it or you've already killed them, and that can be a huge thing. Even just calling out where people are. If you are aware of someone flanking, you need to tell everybody that they are flanking. The big combo that hardly ever gets used is the pinning arrow drag below. So drag below is a great 3rd level spell. It is per refresh for wizards, and it just says, hey, that stopped player is going to be dead. Pinning arrow is an arrow. It is yellow, and it stops a player, and it is an engulfing stop. That right there is huge value because archers can use pinning arrow over and over again, just like a lightning bolt, and they can stop players. And if an archer calls out and is like, hey, that person is stopped, I would love to pop over and drag them below and steal life and bring it back, and I'll even bring you back your arrow. Value to both players. Wizards can support archers. So with the new archetypes, mend isn't as important for archers to go out and seek. They already had mend previously, but now with the new artificer archetype, it seems like mend is just unlimited for them in general. Why would you need it for anything else? Release, though, is still relevant, I think. So if you are getting stuck in frozen all the time, we can release you out of that. Archers sometimes need to go and collect arrows. Maybe they don't want to go to reloading for some reason. Maybe they're going to reposition on the field. Getting a teleport from a friendly, approachable wizard is a great way to get across the battlefield, pick up some of those arrows that you've already shot, and arriving at a location where you're unexpected to then start shooting again. Wizards should be grabbing arrows. If you are dead and you are picking up your spell balls, grab a big handful of arrows and drop them off near your local archer or at your base. You can help prevent flanking, and if you see an archer getting run down, reverse your tracks and take your dagger or your short sword and go hit that person in the back so that they can't hit your archer. And then finally, using those combos that I talked about previously, the pinning arrow plus drag below. If you see the archer pinning players down, finish off those players for them. So, thank you for watching this video about how you as a non-wizard can support the wizards, or if you are a wizard, how your non-wizarding friends can support you. I hope that you found this video valuable. If you did, please give it a like and a subscribe to the channel there. And if you have any questions, please comment down in the comments. I love seeing all the comments and trying to respond to everybody. Until next time, thanks for watching.